Greetings to you all, and welcome to another series of our analysis of novels and discussion of characters in African Child. In our previous video, we discussed the plot of the novel. We discussed how this plot was structured and how the story moves as a bidisgroma, a novel that deals with the child growth and child development. We discussed it chapter by chapter, and we did a good justice to the analysis of the novel in our previous video. So if you haven't watched that video, it is good you check through the channel and watch the video on the plot analysis of The African Child by Camara Laye. Today we are going to be looking at the characters, and then we are going to analyze some of the characters or most of the characters in the novel. You know, for every good novel, there must be at least one or two characters. And in this novel, the African Child by Camara Laye, we have almost about 14 to 15 characters in the novel. We are going to be looking at them now, one after another. So the first character we are going to be looking at today is Camara Laye. In most of the instances in the novel, he is regarded as Laye, and is called by his surname Laye. So Camara Laye is a young child from Guinea, and he is from a highly respected home. And note that I'm not going to be reading what is written on the screen verbatim. I'm going to be explaining it to you, so you listen to what I'm going to say, and at the same time you read the writings on the screen, so that you have full understanding of the characters in this novel. So he's a young child from Guinea, and he's from a highly respected home, and his family is from the Malinke people in Guinea. And note that Guinea was colonized by the French people. So the official language of the Guinea people is French language. So we see that although Laye is somewhat timid, and he is very curious, and he is very intelligent, and at the same time sensitive. So we see that as he moves from early childhood, as Laye moves from early childhood through adolescence, his advancement through the colonial French school system takes him away from his home in Kouroussa to Conakry, the capital of Guinea, and finally sent him to Paris, where he continued his study after finishing his technical college, and he got a scholarship. We saw that through recounting his childhood memories, Laye seeks to preserve, defend, and understand, and perhaps mourn the passing of the tradition of his people or the tradition of his youth, because the tradition was fading. Not that he was missing the tradition only while he was in Paris. The tradition was almost getting extinct as a result of the coming of colonialism, and as a result of the people embracing Western lifestyle, Western education, and Western culture. So the tradition of the people of Malinke, where they go through a lot of initiation during adolescence, from childhood to adulthood, some of them are becoming extinct. So we saw that some of the tradition included observing his father's mysterious familiarity with a black snake. The black snake is regarded as the guiding spirit of the father, and then it comes to the place where the father works most time. For instance, he used to visit the father in the metal work site of the father. You know, the father is a blacksmith. So sometimes while working, and before he even engage in working, he do a lot of purification with oil, and after that, the snake will sometimes visit him there. So we see that the snake is called the guiding spirit of the race, and then Laye watched his father and his mother at work several times, and then he experienced the seasonal rhythm of his mother's farming village, and then participate in various traditional ceremonies of initiation, and then some of them include circumcision. And then when he got the scholarship, Laye departed for Paris at the end of the novel. And it was a bittersweet experience because the mother was so troubled that doesn't want Laye to go, and the father was optimistic that when Laye goes to Paris to go and study, he will bring more fortune to the family. And at that time, the African society, the African families began to understand that that Western education bring or come with a lot of fortunes and opportunities. So the children that were able to go to school at that time, the families that releases their children to study in the European system of education that comes to Africa during the colonial period, we most of them were the one leading the African the African countries now. The African they are the leaders in their countries now because they got education very early. While some of the children were running to the bush, running to the forest to escape being captured by the Westerners, by the colonizers, to give them Western education. Those who were weak in that time, some of the children that were even allowed to go to school were those that were not strong enough to farm. Probably when they go to farm, they were lazy, not working well. So some of the parents of such children were okay. Let's release them to let them go to school. But we see that here the Laye's father was so concerned about the education of Laye, and then he also agreed with Laye to go to Paris to go and study. Now from Paris he wrote this. And then in Paris, he was so lonely because the tradition of the French people in Paris was not as good as, he does not enjoy it as that of the one in Conakry, in Maliki, where he always associated with his people. And you know that the French colonial system practiced what they call assimilation system of cultural establishment, where some of the people, the French culture was imported, and the people combined the French culture with their traditional system. So in the case of Laye is caught up with French culture, the tradition of the Malinke people, and his religion, Islamic religion. So we combine all this, and it formed part of his life. Now let's look at Laye's father. Who is Laye's father? And what is Laye's father's role in the novel? Now, Camara Laye's father is a blacksmith, and at the same time, he's a goldsmith, and he also is a sculptor. He's deep in the traditional ways of his people. He has powers that can be described only as supernatural. And we see that these powers are mostly clearly seen in his relationship with a small black snake. He was able to communicate with the snake using spiritual means because he believed this snake is a guiding spirit from his ancestors that guides him and his family and even the race. So he is a supernatural person because he also do a lot of sacrifice, purifications, and rituals before engaging in his work. And you know, some of the rituals are traditional in nature, not really. Though Laye's father and Laye's family, they practice Islamic religion. But we see in the novel that they combine both Islamic religion with traditional practices. We saw that he interacted with the snake, and then the snake is considered to be a guiding spirit of the race. And then we saw that he exhibits, while he working with God, he exhibited a lot of supernatural theatricality, if I can call it that way. Then, although he clearly regrets that much of his traditional wisdom and knowledge will not be passed on to his son. Why? Because his son has taken another part of life, not the traditional way of the people of Malinke, but rather is going westernized. He's becoming a Western person in culture, in idea, in ideology, because he's studying in Western school. Is doing Western education. Then we saw also that the father was concerned that Laye will not inherit the tradition of his people. But at the same time, he was optimistic that the Western education, the French education, will also bring a lot of fortune for Laye and also for the family. Then we saw that the Africa of the future will need citizens with technical skills and Western education. That was the belief of Camara Laye's father, that because of the coming of colonialism and the encroaching civilization, the Africans of the future will need technical skills, not only the traditional and religious skill, but professional skills that will make them relevant in the coming civilized society in Africa. So, because Laye's father had understanding of this, he permitted Laye to go to Paris to go and study, while the mother was against such. Then we also saw that Laye's father was somehow a gentleman. He's a gentleman because he's he treated his customers with a lot of respect. Now, he treats his son with love, and also he knows Laye will stay in school and follow another career path rather than taking over his business. Now let's look at another character, which is Laye's mother. Laye's mother is was very emotional in the novel. He was so concerned about the future of his son, and then he is a member of the respected Maliki family. She also possesses magical power because the crocodile is her totem, and she's able to draw water from the river without fear of these animals. And on one occasion, we saw her, she alone is able to revive a horse who appears to be under a spell. So the provider of food, discipline, and above all qualified love, she's always able to accept the fact that her son is growing up, and she also accepts the offer, the fact, and suffers greatly each time an event in his life, that is, the life of Camara Laye, shows up. So we saw that Laye's mother is a traditionalist. She also possesses magical power. She loves Laye so much, and she doesn't want Laye to even go to school. Not because she does not wish well for Laye, but because she's so concerned about the future of her son. He does not want Laye to miss it, probably missing the tradition of his people. So we saw that he was very concerned, and also we see that now in the novel you could see the margin and the fusion of tradition and religion. All of them are Muslims. That is in Laye's family, the mother, the father, and Laye. And at the same time, we saw that they are very traditional. The use of crocodile as a totem was a traditional belief in the Maliki family, in the Maliki people tradition. And also, the visiting of the snake, which visits the father, is also part of tradition. So we could see that in the real traditional African society, almost two religions have been practiced together. That is, they are either Christianity or Islam, and then coupled with the traditional system of life of the people. So the mother was not so happy that Laye was going to Paris. She was so emotional and wishes her son to stay with her, but at the same time, the father of Laye was able to convince the mother that okay, Laye has to go to Paris to go and get higher education to help the family. And I believe at the end of the novel, though I believe the story continues even after the end of the novel, because at the end of the novel, Laye travels to Paris. So the return of Laye, I believe Laye will return with a lot of goodies, Western goodies, which the mother will be so happy about. We really wish the novel continues beyond where it ended. So let's look at another character in the novel, Fanta. You may be wondering, is it a Fanta of there is one energy drink in Africa called Fanta? No, it's not the one produced by Coca-Cola. This Fanta is a fine girl who Laye have interest in. Laye is in love with Fanta, and Laye is a friend of Fanta. So we saw that Fanta is Camara Laye's childhood love interest, a friend of Laye's sister, and at the same time, Fanta walked to school on the same route as Laye. So one day, what happened between them? She confronts Laye about why he pulled her hair because Laye was trying to play with her. And Laye cannot explain why he bothers her when she never provoked him. So too innocent to understand that it is his childish way of showing he likes her. And then when bullies attack Laye, Fanta also console him by offering wheat cake her mother has made for her to take to school. And then when they grow up, Fanta stays in Korusa and becomes Laye steady girlfriend. Did Laye marry Fanta at the end of the novel? We were not told. So when Laye traveled to Paris, we did not know how the love interest ended because Fanta did not travel to Paris with Laye. And we were not told that, okay, Laye returned and married Fanta. Fanta also felt very, very sad that Laye was leaving her to go and study in Paris, but it was necessary at that time because he was able to get the scholarship. Not all of them in the school were able to get the scholarship, but because Laye performed very well, he was able to get scholarship to go and study in Paris. It was a great opportunity for even Laye, for Fanta, and for the family of Laye. So the love interest ended at the time when, or let's say it paused, when Laye was traveling to Paris for study. But we are not told whether Laye later married Fanta. Now, for your interest, we have another major character or a constant character in the novel, which is called Uncle Mamadou. Uncle Mamadou is Laye's uncle. He's an accountant who lives in Conakry. He's also used to the Western educational system, and he also get a significant level of education. So Camara Laye lives in Mamadou's European lifestyle house in the city, which is in the capital of Guinea, which is Conakry. While Laye was attending the technical college, Laye did not live in the dormitory. Laye lives with his uncle Mamadou. So Laye respects and admires the uncle very well. So you can see that Laye have more, even from childhood, Laye have interest in Western education, in Western lifestyle, because he admired the uncle so much, which is already westernized by his level of education and accountant, and also working with the colonial administration. So we could see that Laye wishes to be like the uncle, and then his uncle, who is more orthodox in his following of Islam, which is more liberal than Laye's parent. So while Mamadou wears European clothes to work, he immediately changes into his traditional bamboo garment once he's at home. So he is also a polygamist. He has two wives who lives in separate rooms of his house with their respective children. And I forgot to let you know, Laye's father has a lot of wives. It was not only Laye's mother. He has Laye's mother, and there are other wives which are living in his compound, having their own separate huts. So the novel was more concerned about Laye's mother, Laye's father, and the life of Laye, because it was a bit disgrammar. It was more of an autobiographical novel. Now, look at this. Look at so the two of them were living. The two wives of Mamadou were living with him, and then Laye also have a place where he was sleeping with some of the grown-up children while he was in technical college in Conakry, capital of Guinea. Now let's see another one. Camara Laye's grandmother. The grandmother is one of the character that was so emotional about Laye's life. The grandmother lives in the village called Tindikam. It is a small village in a community 2 hours south of Korusa. So Laye used to stay with the grandmother for holiday and during Ramadan. And at the same time, during harvest season, which is the dry season, Harmattan season, he also used to go to the grandmother's place to assist her. So Laye's grandmother is affectionate, referring to Laye as little husband. And most of the time, she insists that Laye needs to eat a lot to have weight whenever Laye visits her. So Laye enjoyed living with the grandmother because the grandmother used to tell her a lot of old stories, ancestral stories, interesting stories about spirits, about the community, about some supernatural beings. And Laye really enjoyed living in Tindika with the grandmother. So when he was going to the school, the grandmother also was very concerned. So you could see a very loving child of a community, of a family, leaving the family to go to Paris, and only God knows when he is going to return. Probably returning when the school is on holiday, which is not really certain because it's on scholarship, and the colonial government sponsoring him may even determine when he will return. So let's look at another character. We have another character called Koyate. Who is Koyate? Koyate is Laye's best friend. He's a very short boy and sometimes talks too much. Koyate becomes the target of excessive bullying when he and Laye are in elementary school. So they used to bully Koyate very well. One day, Koyate is beaten so badly that he tells his father about how the older boys assault and rob the younger ones. So Koyate's father beat and humiliated the boy who has been harassing his son, leading to Koyate being ostracized on the playground. Some of the students do not want to play with Koyate again because they believe that when you play with Koyate, you will go and call the father and lie that you are beating him. And as a result of that, the person that is mostly his friend when he was excommunicated by some of the students was Laye. So, however, Koyate's decision to tell his father about the bullying precipitated the end of bullying at the school, because after Koyate's father lodged complaint in the school, the issue of bullying was addressed by the technicals, by the elementary school, and anybody who bullies again is being punished by the school management. Okay, so let's see another character. We have Maria. Who is Maria? Maria is Camara Laye's love interest in Conakry. Now, look at it very well. We have Fanta at the elementary level, who was the love interest of Maria. No, who was the love interest of Camara Laye? Camara Laye was in love with Fanta at his elementary stage, his elementary school stage. Then when he moves to Technical College in Conakry, the capital of Guinea, he has another love interest, which is called Maria. So, he's a family friend of Laye's uncle, because Laye's uncle, Uncle Mamadou, is living in Conakry. So Maria often visits Mamadu's house. So while Laye's auntie mercilessly teases the two about being in love, Laye and Maria are quite chaste and shy in their interaction. Though the interest, the love, the feelings for each other are there, but shyness, innocency, and even immaturity did not let them have good interaction. So we saw that Laye has no doubt that he is in love with Maria. He is proud that she only spent time with him when all the other boys their age are vying for their attention. So we saw that the narrative ends with Maria and Laye on the same plane from Conakry to Dakar in Senegal, where Maria is continuing her education. She wishes and makes Laye promise to return from Europe someday. See, so at the end of their technical education in the technical college, Maria was going to Dakar, Senegal, and we saw Laye going to Europe. And I believe Maria did not get the scholarship to go to Paris. That was why he ended studying his higher education in um, in Dakar, Senegal. Now, this is another one. Check Umaru. Check Umaru is Laye's and Koyate's close friend in Kurusa. So when they were teenagers, then we saw that Check Umaru developed a mysterious illness. And what happened? After he developed mysterious illness, he fell sick and it affected his education very well. So while his friend expressed concern over his graying skin, and distended belly, Check Umaru insists he feel no pain. However, his condition worsened and he goes to the hospital. Koyate and Laye stay at their friend's bedside as he dies. So it was a very traumatizing experience for Laye and Koyate, seeing their good friend Check Umaru die and witnessing somebody dying for the first time, or experiencing how people die for the first time. So we could see that it was really a bad experience for Laye and his friend Koyate, seeing their friend dying at that young age. Now, these are most of the characters. There are still other characters in the novel, which I can say they are mostly minor characters that I did not include here. One of them is Uncle Sika. Uncle Sika is another uncle of Laye, a young bachelor. Laye Sika lives in Mamadou's house, and then Laye admires Sika's habit of speaking passionately on range of topics, intelligently on range of topics. So Laye also appreciates and admires Uncle Sika. Then there is one character again. I hope I remember his name. There is one character apart from Uncle Sika who's have interest in Laye. Let me see if I can recall his name. But if I cannot recall his name, these are the major characters. So if you add Uncle Sika to this one, that means we have about 11 characters in the novel. So these are the major characters in the novel. And in the subsequent video, we are going to be discussing the themes in the novel. And don't forget, we are going to analyze the literary devices used in the novel as well. So make sure you subscribe so that you get notified when the videos are uploaded. Thank you. Have a nice day, and we'll meet very soon. Okay.